I'm just interested on what you learned from that reflection and time out and those experiences and how that was applied within a club such as Derby County.
Yeah, I think the club was very different. I think the club, when I went in, although I was brought in to add probably a little bit more pragmatism and some of that Birmingham grit and energy that the team we had, I think we played some good football as well along the way. But but that was certainly something that Derby wanted. But I also felt there was an expectation to play a certain way as well, with players that not necessarily were better, but I think probably more high profile and probably had more options, certainly in the attacking positions. And so I think you adjust all the time. I think you have opportunities to adjust, but I also took a lot of things that I did at Birmingham, that I did well. We played with a 10, we played with two really quick out and out wingers. I thought we transitioned really well at times, and I felt that was something that Derby needed also. So yeah, and I think that the club was very different. I think Mel, the owner, was a lot more hands-on. He was a lot more visible. You'd have a lot more conversations with him as opposed to at Birmingham. So there were a lot of things that were slightly different. The facilities we had were slightly better. The support staff and the support sort of mechanics were there at Derby, but perhaps weren't there at Birmingham. So again, these were just things that maybe shaped how you work. They weren't necessarily game changers and, massive advantages, but they were just small things that could adjust the way you work. So yeah, and I think that, in some ways, getting into the playoffs that season, we probably should have gone up automatically, but, there were a few things happened around February at Derby that often, the team didn't cope particularly well with that pressure around that time. And so there were a few mistakes I look back on, but we were second for a large part of that season, end up in the playoffs, lost to Fulham, of course, that were probably the best team not to go up automatically in that division under Jukanovic. So it's a tough season, but I really enjoyed it. I had a very good time there. Obviously went in the season before for about 3 months. But yeah, a lot of change, a lot of good things that we did, and a slightly different team. We scored, I think, the third or fourth most goals that season. We had the top scorer in Matty Vidra. So certainly we had a much more attacking mentality, but that was because of the players. That was because of the strengths of the team. And I think that's what you always have to do. You have to fit the strengths of the team around the players, not necessarily around what you want, because if you play the way you want and you haven't got players capable of doing that, that's, in my opinion, that's football suicide. So yeah, there was a lot of things we did differently, but still some similarities.
What are your thoughts on the current club at the moment? Obviously, you mentioned Mel Morris then in your relationship. What do you think of, the current club and that, where it's gone into League One and the state of it over the last couple of years? I'm just interested on your opinion on what you think of that.
Yeah, look, for me, I got on really well with Mel. Got on really well with the people there, Steve Pearce. I had good relationships with them. I think sometimes when a club's so desperate to get in the Premier League and they put the money where their mouth is and they invest heavily, that's what they need to do. And the fact they didn't get there, of course, caused certain problems. That's why they are where they are now. But, I think it's a difficult period for them. I think they'll come out of it. I think they've been strong this season. I think there's every chance they'll get out of the division this season. I mean, they've got a squad, certainly, that should get out of League One and into the Championship. And, there's probably a very different outlook. What I would say is, the fans to still get between 25 and 30,000 at every single home game is absolutely incredible. It's incredible in League One. So, it shows the strength of the fan base and how that is going to be a defining factor in getting the team back to where they need to be. Having a team that's as good as the fans have been on the sideline. So yeah, I'm sure they've learned lessons, but I think it's always hard when an owner puts so much money into a club. You almost have to applaud that a little bit as well, because they passionately want the best. And, all fans will complain if the club put nothing into it. They'll also complain if maybe you put too much in it and it becomes a little bit irrational. But I think there's probably a balance in between. So yeah, they look like they're under slightly different ownership, maybe with a slightly more pragmatic view of sustainability. But I'm sure they had to do that because of the situation they're in. So, yeah, I'll put them in the category of Birmingham. Great club, great history, good people, good fans, really, really good clubs to be part of.